Now it's stale?
Mm-hmm.
So everything I did before is not recorded?
It is recorded.
Okay. Sorry about that. So, like I said, the pain in family life creates a loneliness which is different from just being lonely. Aloneness is a experience of the soul. You are surrounded by people but unable to connect with them. The search for intimacy is a driving force in their lives. As a result, many buses are searching for the family they never had. For buses, family is more frequently defined as those who love them, not those who produce them. Often, friends are more family than our parents or our siblings. Thus, community, open, safe, inclusive relationship is which people help each other rather than compete in the highest value of this generation. And then you have the postmodern mindset. Busters don't believe in absolute truth. To them, everything is relative and everything can be true. They are the first generation to reflect the postmodern idea circulating in French and American universities such as in the 1970s. For an explanation of the postmodern mindset, you would have to see Star Trek and The Next Generation. Postmodernism and the Future of Evangelistical Theology by Stanley Gretz, originally published in the March of 1994 issue of Cross, the journal, and a recent college. An expanded version will be published by Edelman's in a postmodern premiere. Buses can live with two contradictory ideas. They can be pro-choice in regard to abortion, for example, a pro-life in regard to wells and trees. They will also say they want a meaningful and lasting relationship with a lover, but if someone better comes along, they'd rather have him or her. Now that is another characteristic of the bus is fear. Many buses fear the future. Everything out there seems broken. The economy seems beyond repair. The environment is ruined. Sex isn't fun anymore because of AIDS. And marriage is risky venture. It's likely to fail. Buses are angry because they know they'll have to pay for the national debt and the Social Security of the generation that handed it to them. The world holds little hope. Even the label Buster reinforces this feeling. Boomer sounds positive, as if something is about to break out and happen. But Buster sounds like something broken, something that needs to be thrown away. Paradoxically, in the midst of this nearly hopeless outlook, buses are trying to create hope on a local scale. They want to put their lives into something that will make a difference. You have also grassroots orientation. Grassroots orientation, as with the Dutch boy in the fable, buses want to plug the hole in the dam, even though it seems inevitable that the dam will break anyway. This feeling is of inevitability comes from the belief that buses have never really had a chance to win big. Most of the soldiers who served in the Persian Gulf War, for example, were busters, but when they were allowed to put Saddam Hussein out of business for good. But they weren't allowed to put Saddam Hussein out of business for good. Busters graduated from college only to find the tightest job market in 2 decades because boomers were holding all the jobs. Since they feel they can't win on a large scale, some busters look to win on a small scale in relationships. A locus causes or local causes or personal contributions to global needs. U.S. News and World Report called them the Fix-It generation, a label which many seem to resonate. For example, recycling is not found in any spiritual gifts list in the Bible, but at New Song, they had a recycling ministry. There was a census that God created the earth and that He gave us the responsibility of taking care of it. Therefore, recycling is a legitimate ministry. We began to make sure we printed the recycled paper and provided recycling bins. We even found recycling plastic cups for communion. They say at New Song Church. Now, it also, buses have a spiritual hunger. Finally, buses are looking for transcendent meanings, and in this sense that they are a spiritual generation. Again, with their postmodern mindset, they don't believe that science alone, the empirical method, can solve our problems. They believe that something is wrong with the world and that there must be something beyond what we can see, feel, touch, taste, or smell. This makes them as open to Christian revival as any generation, but it also opens them to cult activity. Many toy with the various forms of New Age and Eastern religion, including the pantheistic idea of connecting with God through nature. Then busters also need to be evangelized. There was one young woman who was still living with her single mother when she started attending New Song Church. She participated for a long time, then she became a Christian. The primary thing that drew her to Christ was the church as the family of God. She began a Christian because she found a place in which love was being expressed. That's so important in today's churches, that love should always be expressed. In years past, becoming a Christian preceded becoming a church attender. That sequence is no longer valid with buses. Incredibly, they may be part of the fellowship for months or years before taking the first step of faith. Churches effectively at reaching busters, the church encourage non-believers to participate in small groups or other ministries. Obviously, we're not going to ask non-believer attenders to be leaders in the church, but to reach busters, we must increase their contact with Christians. That's important. We must increase their contact with Christians. Busters are attracted to Christ by being attracted to what happens. They're being attracted to what happening in the lives of Christians. We need to find ways to make non-believer busters feel welcome and participate, even before they provide evidence of commitment to Christ. That's important. Large group meetings can build credibility with busters, but if relationships aren't built outside those settings, busters will not respond. At New Song, evangelism efforts were never a big rally, a big name speaker. You raise your hand, stand up, and come forward presentation didn't work. Now, will busters respond to a book that is handed to them? Many will read a book and say, that's fine, that's true in that book, but don't believe it. True for me. And see, busters process truth better relationship than propositionally. Evangelism at New Song happened through bicycle trips, hikes, and mountain climbs. To reach busters means someone will need to spend time with them. Someone who feels comfortable sharing why he or she became a Christian. Someone willing to expose the work of Christ in his or her life. This approach is labor intensive, and it's more important than ever for pastors and empowered people in the front lines. It is the church member who will help their families cross the line of commitment to Christ. Now we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. Of course, to win busters, we must become the negative caricature of Christianity that many of them hold. We must overcome the negative caricature of Christianity that many of them hold. They have their own opinion of Christianity, and most of it is negative. To the unbelieving busters, Christians are whacked out extremists. A life after God Copeland writes that religious types take things too literally and miss too many points because of this literalism. Now, the radio stations all seem to be talking about Jesus nonstop. And it seems to be this crazy argue of projection, with everyone projecting onto Jesus the antidotes of the things that had gone wrong in their own lives. I was cut off from their experience in a way that was never connectable. To present a picture of Christ that busters can relate to, we need to rely on the power of story. Busters have never read the Bible, and unlike boomers, they don't care what Time magazine or other experts have to say, but they will listen to your story. They will listen to your testimony, especially if it is honestly described, the difference as well as the good aspects of following Christ. They will listen to the story of someone who hasn't necessarily been successful, but has been faithful. They will listen. Storytelling is the most effective way to reach this generation, because busters won't argue with a person's story. In fact, it may be their only absolute. Everyone's story is worth listening to and learning from. Here's what we need to be communicated. Here's what needs to be communicated. God's story intersected with my story. Now I can share it with you so that you can consider making it a part of your story. Be blessed, my brothers. Be blessed, my sisters. Thank you, Dr. Wilson. Thank you, Pastor Chisholm. Thank you, ABI. God bless you.